single, or can we bring these requirements
Financial.
down? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
financial requirements down
Expectations.
a bit to where you have a better chance of finding a mate that may not make $100,000, but he might make 55, and he might be a good man to you, right? Because honestly, and I tell you, because I know at least five right off the top of my head that do make that, those men are something else. See, that's the part that women don't know. It sounds good in the by and by, right? It sounds good. Oh, I want a man to make all this money, and I want me a rich dude, da 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 da. But the question is, let's just say you were to get him. Let's say you were to be able to attract him with your looks, because that's usually what those type of men are going to see first is your looks. They want you to look a
Yeah.
kind of way. That is a fact. We're going to come back to that. But let's just say you were able to attract him. Are you confident enough within yourself as a woman to stand beside him? Because mind you now, you're with a man that the majority of women in the world want to date. So are you going to be confident enough to stand in that position and not be insecure? That's the part that we as women we don't like to ask ourselves, talk about, or maybe not even know to talk about. Because I can remember I was 24 years old, and I talked about what I'm about to say. I talked about in depth on the I Have a Twin Flame show. If you get a chance, go back and listen to it. I feel like one of our best podcasts. But I talked about being 24 and having met this guy that he wasn't rich, but he had like all the bells and whistles that I thought were like the shit. She laughing because she know this story. She know who I'm talking about. I met this guy. Let me tell y'all, he was so dreamy to me. He was dreamy, y'all. Like he was tall, like 6'2". He went to like he graduated from a prestigious college. He was an ex-football player. He had all the bells and whistles. He was 27. I was 24.
Okay.
And I remember really wanting to be with him. Like bad. Like I wanted to be his girlfriend so bad. But inside, and I was conscious of it. That's the crazy thing. I was conscious of the fact that I didn't feel good enough for him. Like
That's deep.
I felt like I didn't go I didn't measure up because I didn't go to like a prestigious college. Like his parents were still together. They were like college professors, shit like that. My mama and daddy can't stand each other. They had been broke up for years.
You trying to say you was
Seriously.
polar opposite? You
Yeah,
lived the polar
yeah.
opposite experience?
Polar opposite. I come from a fractured parent. I didn't come from no two-parent home
Yeah.
he was there for a while, but they eventually broke up. His parents
Hmm.
were still together, at the time or whatever. Um, One they stayed together till one of them unfortunately passed away. But I looked at all of those things and I felt like I don't measure up. Like I'm not good enough. And let me tell y'all how deep this was. I thought to myself, well, maybe I should go to a certain college and go go back to college. I was trying to
So it was
figure.
motivating you to go to college or try to quote unquote better yourself, if
I'll
you
get some
will.
accolades. I feel like I need
Yeah, there
to.
you go.
I felt like I needed to somehow, some way, go get some accolades and some titles. It's so crazy now that when I say it, I felt like if I went and got a certain title or a job title or a certain accolade, then he would see me as worthy enough because I put him on like a pedestal. I put him on a pedestal not because I just thought he was this great guy. I mean, he was a bad guy, but I put him on a pedestal because of the things, because of the titles, because of his looks. Catch that T. Right? But what ended up happening is, to make a long story short, because I didn't feel worthy of him, he saw me in the same light of unworthiness because that's how I was presenting myself, right?
Yeah.
That's the vibration I was on at the moment. So whatever I was feeling inside was creating my reality on the outside, but I didn't know it was creating my reality on the outside. I just felt like I wanted to be with him and he should want to be with me, irregardless, but that wasn't the case. It wasn't until God, let me tell y'all, honestly, when that man eventually he just was like, okay, because I was doing things, my insecurity was driving me to do things that were a little bit. I can see why he felt the need to break things off with me, because I was doing things like I would pop up at his job, shit like that, like disrespectful, scary shit. Like I would drive by his house because I moved to his neighborhood, y'all. I moved to his neighborhood and tried to pretend like that ain't what I was doing. Because I wanted him so bad. Y'all don't understand. I moved to his neighborhood, but I would do stuff like pop up at his job because at the time he worked at a car dealership. I would pop up at his job, just do stuff like that. So eventually he got tired of that type of shit, that I was doing. And he came to my house and he was just to my face, and I respect him to this day. The trillest shit anybody ever said to me, to my face. He knocked on the door, came in, he got off work, came over my house, and he said, "This is over. Me and you, done. I'm not going to call you. Don't call me. Don't pop up at my job. It's done." Oh my God. Y'all couldn't have told me that I wasn't going to be buried somewhere that day. I thought my life was over. I could not believe it. I was just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I just cried and cried and cried and cried. And I was crying and I was so sad and so depressed. I remember getting up one day, going into the bathroom and trying to do my hair. And I remember just looking in the mirror with the curling iron, and tears just started to well down in my face. And I remember asking God, I just remember this so clearly. I said, what is it about me that I'm just not good enough? Now, let me back up just a little bit. Before him, there was another guy that I dated. Now, I'm 24, so this was some years ago. This was like 22 years ago or some shit like that. But I'm referencing this because this is where it became, God brought it to my awareness that I had an unworthiness issue. It was a guy before that I dated. To make a long story short, he ended up moving to another state with a girl he dated in college and didn't even tell me. So I went from that happening, which was devastating, to meeting this guy, which I thought I had the most beautiful connection with, and I did. To him also abandoning me. So I'm looking in the mirror thinking to myself, God, like, what is it about me that men are leaving? Like, they're not staying. And God started showing me so clearly. And I'm so grateful for them, both of them, because they don't understand. Their leaving catapulted me onto a spiritual journey that I would do it all over again to sit in this space, because what it did was God began to show me that you can't have what you don't think you deserve. We got to work on them insides, my dear. It's not about how you look. It's not about what you got. It's not about what college you went to. It's about how you feel about yourself. So you telling me, my child, you're expecting these men to see you in a way that you don't even see yourself. You don't even think you're deserving of them. So how can I grant you the gift of any of them when you don't even feel like you should be good enough for them? Like you should be worthy to stand beside them. And I remember sitting in the bathtub just crying. I mean, I just started, because I didn't know the unworthiness inside of me was that deep. I didn't know it was that deep. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, like I feel that way about myself. Because now, mind you, my ego had told me I was just fine and fine, right? Like looks fine.
Mhm.
So why, would I think, at 24 that I don't feel good about myself? Like, but I didn't. And it started me on a journey. It started me on a healing journey. And what I found on this journey is that I had an abandonment wound from my biological father that had went unhealed for quite some time, unaddressed, for quite some time. I know the perception of me thinking, well, if my dad didn't want me, if my dad wasn't in my life or he didn't want to be around, then why would other men want to stay around and be around too? Now, this was a unconscious thought. I didn't consciously think this. I wasn't going around thinking this, but it was an unconscious thought that I was unaware of, that was rooted inside of me, that was creating all the situations that, that I was in. It was where I was vibrating at the moment. So what I learned from that, what I've learned over the years from that is that you get what you believe you deserve.